The best defense is a good offense, and undoubtedly, the 529 programs are one of the best offenses that you can use for college planning. But there are rules, and there's rules you need to understand, and like everything IRS driven, the rules can change. We're going to break down what a 529 is for you and what the state of Indiana's program, the College Choice, is, and how you might want to consider using it. Well, good morning and welcome to Consider This Program. I'm your host, Joe Clark.
And I'm Adam Harter.
Happy to have you along. Hey, don't forget, if you're listening to this show on the radio and you want more, you're getting to hear 3 segments on the radio if you're on WIBC. You can always go to our website at yourlifeafterwork.com, actually watch the videos of all 4 of the segments that we do, or go to wherever you want to listen to podcasts. Please take the time to subscribe while you're there. And get a hold of Consider This Program. You can listen to it at your point in time. I will tell you, one of the things that we watch is the amount of time that people listen to segments. Last month, it was 120% for a few of the segments. That means that people actually took the time to rewind it because there is so much content in detail to this. So if you feel like you didn't get it the first time, going to watch the video or going to the podcast makes a lot of sense. So let's start with the basics. Adam, what is a 529 program?
Like so many things, we have letters and acronyms that really apply to tax codes. So this is a federal level IRS allowance to have. It gets a little murky because you got a federal tax structure that states utilize to help fund colleges. But 529 plan helps parents save for college and allows, as long as money winds up being used for college, to be used free of tax from capital gains, interest, dividends, as long as that is used for qualified purposes.
So we had somebody walk in the other day. This is a family with about $1.5 million in assets. They're doing really, really well in central Indiana, really saving hard for their kids. They heard about a 529 and they walked in and they've got $50,000 in 3 529s at Vanguard, right? While living in Indiana. So, this is not John Bogle became a fan of I became a fan of his. I don't think he knows who I am. Became a fan of his right before he passed away when he recanted something that I disagreed with forever. And he said things changed and kind of went against his own thesis. But he built a company called Vanguard. Nothing's wrong with Vanguard at all. However, if you live in Indiana, as Adam just said, the states take those federal codes and use them within their state. So in Indiana, the 529, when you hear somebody refer to a college choice is a 529, but not all 529s are college choice programs, right? So let me say that again. All college choice programs are 529s, but not all 529s are college choice program. Adam, if we use the college choice, what do I get as the taxpayer?
Well, if you use it in Indiana, you receive a tax credit up to $1,000. So 20% of what you put in, you get to claim as a credit, not a deduction, a credit on your state return the following year. So it really is a wonderful way to save $5,000 per year.
Yeah, no more than $5,000 per year. So and that's per return. So if you have parents or in-laws, they too can put in $5,000. It's not per beneficiary, it's per tax return. You can put into $5,000. Now remember, Adam said this, a difference between a credit and a deduction. A deduction, the higher your income taxation bracket is, the more a deduction is worth. A credit's a credit, right? But the only way you can use $1,000 of state tax credit is if you actually owed or paid into the state $1,000 over the course of the year. Keep that in mind as well. But it's like using a coupon at the store. They don't ask how many things you have in your grocery basket. You got $1 off coupon, you're getting $1 back. That's how a credit works. Important to understand that. So Adam, if I was going to put $15,000 a year in that I was going to save for my kids' college, yours are younger than mine. We'll use your kids. If you were going to save $15,000 a year, how much of that would you put toward the College Choice 529 plan?
My choice is to put exactly the $5,000, and it's because of the amount of things that can change in the future that keep me from doing anything above that. There's not anything really bad about the ability to invest. I think the College Choice did a wonderful job with putting those plans together. However, I don't want to box myself in. If something changes and don't wind up using it for qualified medical expenses or qualified education expenses.
For the record, I'm 100% with him, and I will go one step further. I believe, other than healthcare, there is nothing that's going to be more disintermediated coming out of 2020 and COVID than higher education. And I just believe that there are major, major changes that are coming down the road because of the expense, people with debt that they can't pay back, the stopping people from being able to get houses because of debt to income ratio. I think you're about to see a major revamp. And if you've got money in a 529 plan of any nature, you simply cannot get it out without penalty, without higher education expenses. There is no way out of that trap door. Now we're going to get to some new rules here in a minute that we'll discuss, but be careful with that. Use it up to the amount where you get that tax credit. I'm all in favor of that. It does have to be college choice. The second part of this is, and we have a bias, Adam and I in the Financial Enhancement Group, we don't use products. We don't sell things. The 529 is divided, the College Choice program is divided into two areas. You can do it yourself, or you can pay somebody 4.5% commission to do it for you. It is the easiest, most friendly website I've ever seen in my entire life. They are good people. There is no reason for you to pay somebody $250 for them to do your College Choice contribution. Do this on your own. It'll take you less than a half an hour, and most of you don't make $250 in a half an hour.
Oh, I 100% agree with that, and I've not heard one person disagree.
Yeah.
And further beyond that, if you do happen to have a question, for some reason, you're able to call and get a person, which is kind of rare.
A human. I've never not called and got a human. And we've helped some of our older families that just didn't feel comfortable do it on that side. We don't believe in the commission part. And I think if it's going to education, it needs to go to education for certain. And again, yes, we have a bias. We don't sell products. We don't make commissions, but it is what it is. So Adam, here's a great question that we get from people. If you don't understand anything about investing at all, can you still use the College Choice? Can you still use a 529?
I say absolutely.
And how's come?
I say that because they have boundaries and they make it easy once again. And I know we're not huge fans here of having, one size fits all investment solutions. However, if you know nothing about investing and you think that prevents you from being able to contribute to the plan and do it yourself, think again, because they have put together single funds that allow you to contribute, allocate that money to the single fund. No, it is not the world's single best investment solution, but it's a wonderful within this construct that will tailor the investments towards that age group. So for instance, if you have a newborn that's going to be anticipated to go to college in 20 years, you select the year that they're going to be anticipated going into college, forget about it, leave the fund alone, and allow that fund to make its choices. So in the world of investing, I think that's about as good as it gets. I don't like that as much for retirement funds because retirement is straying a little bit off course here, but that's very eerily similar to a target date fund. But to me, it's different in college because you have a 4-year use of that fund.
And the words eerie ought to say this concerns us. So you will never have a target dated fund if we're helping you at the Financial Enhancement Group. There may be reasons to use them if you're trying to do this on your own, but those are not something that we would agree with. So understand what Adam said there. And if you want to know more on target dated funds, you can always email us. We can send you a whole radio segment that I did on target dated funds not too long ago. And every now and then, Adam and I will talk about it on the Market Carver. Every week, one of the two of us sends out a 9-minute video commentary that comes out every Thursday of what we believed was the most important economic or market event that occurred the week before. And again, it's a free thing that we're able to send. Go to yourlifeafterwork.com. We've missed 1 week since 2007. So we take this very, very serious, and we believe that communication is critical. So we talked about this. Adam said, I don't know what the future holds. And that's another way of saying, hey, forget that we don't know about COVID. We don't know about economies. We don't know about the risk in 08 and 09. There are all these market things we think about. I think a bigger risk, ladies and gentlemen, is dealing with the IRS and tax policy change. So I will tell you, here in Indiana, I've been a Hoosier my whole life, will probably be a Hoosier my entire life. And what happens is typically when the federal government says something, the state of Indiana follows suit. A lot of states do that. Indiana's not that odd. But this is one of these rule changes in a 529 where Indiana said, not so fast. right? And so you really have to be careful. I know of families who made bad decisions last year because they had outdated information and didn't understand that things have changed. So one of the rules that changed inside of the 529 plan a few years ago was you could actually use money in a 529 or in the College Choice program to be able to take care of private education K through 12, right? You can use it, always have been able to use it for housing, for computers, for things that you need to be able to make your education work. You just have to be able to document it. Last year, and remember, just put this in your head, write it down, make a note. All tax policy, ladies and gentlemen, is social policy, right? So when Congress meets and they decide, hey, here's a great idea, they'll pass tax code that helps that or puts it in a better light. For instance, you cannot deduct car interest if you have a car. That's consumer debt. If you're able to itemize and you have mortgages, you can deduct mortgage debt. And that's because Congress met and said, here's a great idea. Everybody ought to have the right to have a mortgage, to influence that decision, to give it a little sweetener, if you will. We'll let people deduct it. Right? And so when these 529s were created, they came up with these certain rules. Well, one of them last year, they realized people were in debt. They said, hey, you can use a 529 now to pay for college debt. Right? And people got all excited. And I know of families who took money out of their 529 plans, in the middle of the year that were doing it on their own and paid down student debt because the federal government said you could. And the state of Indiana almost always follows suit with what the federal government says, but not this time, ladies and gentlemen, not this time. You cannot use your 529 or your College Choice program in Indiana to get out of the 10% penalty for withdrawal to use it for student debt. So you have to be careful with those rules. Please do not overload these programs with too much money where it's not going to be able to be used for higher education at some point in time if that were to happen. Put it in money. I'm with Adam. Do the $5,000. Get the tax credit. Take that 20%. Fold it over. Stick it in your billfold. Be happy. Make sure you're paying the state of Indiana $1,000. You can also make a gift to your parents or your in-laws and let them make the same contribution. Might have done that once or twice in my life along the way. Hey, you can go to yourlifeafterwork.com to find out more. 800-928-4001. Get signed up for your next steps meeting.